Once upon a time, in an alternate universe where Fiona was never cursed, no mysterious spell, no turning into an ogre at sunset, no isolated tower guarded by a fierce dragon, just an ordinary princess, living her ordinary life inside an ordinary castle, surrounded by extravagant dresses, silverware that no one really knows how to use properly, and an endless list of noble etiquette rules that could put anyone to sleep out of sheer boredom. If Fiona had never been cursed, her life would have followed the traditional princess manual. From a young age, she would have learned that a true lady must always maintain perfect posture, speak sweetly, and of course, patiently wait for a charming prince to complete the fairy tale script. No breaking rules, no taking action, no punching bad guys along the way, just daily training to become the perfect queen. And who would be at the top of the list of suitors for this absolutely traditional princess? Yes, none other than the most self-absorbed blonde in Far, Far Away, the king of dramatic poses and excessively gelled hair, Prince Charming. The same one who, in the original universe, got dumped so hard he probably felt it in his ego. But here, with no double identity Fiona to complicate things, the fairy godmother would have no trouble arranging this royal marriage. And Fiona? Well, she might not have been in love with Charming, because let's be honest, only someone who truly enjoys conversations about themselves could manage that. But without any reference of true love, she would probably accept the marriage without much questioning. After all, that was what was expected of her. It would be a politically advantageous union, everyone would applaud, the villagers would celebrate, and the fairy godmother would be over the moon, as her son would finally get the throne. But the question is, would Fiona have been happy? The answer is a resounding no. Even in the original story, it's clear that Fiona was never the type of princess to passively accept her fate. She wanted more, dreamed of a happily ever after, but not in an automatic, dull way. However, without the curse, without years of solitude in the tower, without the experience of learning to fight and fend for herself, she would never have had the chance to realize that her life could be different. Meanwhile, in the swamp, Shrek would have gone about his life as usual, isolated, grumpy, scaring villagers for fun, and eating slugs without worrying about calories. In the original universe, Fiona was the first person to truly see beyond his appearance and connect with who he really was. But without the curse to bring them together, that meeting would never have happened. In fact, if Fiona and Shrek had crossed paths at some royal event, the scene would have been entirely different. Fiona would have been raised to see ogres as disgusting and dangerous creatures, likely keeping her distance. And Shrek? Well, he always despised nobility, so he would have seen Fiona as just another snobbish, dull, and overly delicate princess. Without the forced time together and the revelation that Fiona was also an ogre deep down, the two of them would have had absolutely nothing in common. And the worst part? The fate of Far, Far Away would have changed drastically as well. In the original universe, King Harold hesitated to accept Charming as his son-in-law because he knew Fiona didn't love him. But without Shrek to shake things up and prove that true love can defy any rule, Harold would probably have given in. Charming would become king, the fairy godmother would take complete control of the kingdom, and what was once a lively and chaotic place would turn into an artificially perfect realm full of smiling couples who were secretly miserable. And Fiona? Oh, Fiona would be there in the castle with a gleaming crown on her head and a lost look in her eyes, wondering if that perfect life was really as perfect as it seemed. Now let's consider an unlikely scenario. What if, by some twist of fate, Fiona and Shrek still met? If Fiona were forced out of her castle bubble, maybe fleeing an unhappy marriage or accidentally getting involved in a bigger problem, could she and Shrek still fall in love? The answer is complicated. Without the experience of living as an ogre, Fiona would never have developed that wild, fearless personality that matched Shrek's so well. At best, she might come to admire him, maybe even respect him, but it's unlikely she would ever see him as a romantic partner. And Shrek? Well, he would probably find her annoying. Princesses had always been a symbol of everything he despised, and without the curse linking them, their relationship would never progress beyond basic civility. So, in the end, without the curse, Fiona and Shrek's story would never have happened. And even worse, Fiona would likely have spent her entire life without ever knowing what it meant to be truly loved. What seemed like a burden was actually the greatest blessing she could have received. It was the curse that allowed her to find her true love and accept who she really was. Without it, her happily ever after would have been nothing more than a grand performance, complete with a golden crown and a forced smile. Now, the real question remains, was there any way for Fiona and Shrek to end up together even without the curse? Or were they truly destined to be apart?